So I want to go back to the napkin. So imagine, and this is the context that I want to put you in. Imagine that you are sitting across from your next co-founder, the co-founder of your organization, and you're talking about what things you would do differently that your company is doing incorrectly now, how they treat you, how they measure you, things that they have that are, we'll say, boundaries or restrictions that limit your growth. The principles of how to run a company. And that's what we're talking about. And I want to make sure that you understand why this is a napkin discussion. You're sitting at a restaurant, you're tired of working for somebody else, you want to have your own side hustle, you want to have your own organization, and you know that you have the expertise. This is a napkin discussion, and we all go through it. And if you haven't, it is a fantastic exercise. I'm not going to grade you on this, but I would love this, and I would love for you to tell me about it if you already have done this, to get together with someone and dream a little bit. The strategy has to come from somewhere, right? Dream a little bit. Talk about what you would do on a napkin. Write it on a napkin. Talk about what you would do differently. The first three things you're going to talk about: culture, accountability, trust. And that's all encompassed in this first topic, number one. Culture. Empower your people to make decisions. And here's the catch. Most millennials want to have decision-making, impact-making, life-changing decisions at their fingertips. And here's the flip side of that. You want those individuals. I don't have time. I run 2 companies. I don't have time to hold anybody's hand. I need decision makers. I need people that are going to be able to make decisions, and I empower them. But here's the catch. Empower your employees to make decisions. It has to fall under your strategy or vision. Does that make sense? That way, every decision they make is consistent. It is consistent with what you want. This is why it's so very important that your vision is embedded into your team. I cannot stress this enough. And what I have seen, and it's such a beautiful exercise to go to a restaurant, grab some appetizers, and just dream a little. What would we do differently? What would we do? I've done this a few times. What kind of things would we improve? I was talking to a founder of a company yesterday, and he was working for an organization, and they were traveling Europe, and they were trying to teach people that organization's processes. And he had hired an independent contractor to help him. And they were supposed to meet in Paris at the very end. And they did. And they started having some cheese and maybe some wine, and they started talking about what kind of things that they didn't like, what kind of things they did like within the culture of that organization, and what would they, and they started writing it on this napkin. And it was like deja vu for me. I've done this a few times. And that was how they started their company. what kind of things would we do? What kind of things would we not do? And it brought more accountability. It brought more trust. They sold their company 2 years ago to a private equity firm for over $80 million. Both of them walked away, pre-tax, of course, with $40 million. Not bad for napkin strategy, right? They also, while I was talking to them, they also wanted to make sure that their employees were taken care of, which is fantastic. And they are, and they did. And those employees, that was part of what they set out to do in the very beginning. Take care of your employees. This trust is so very, very important. So very important. I don't know if I told you guys this, but I think I did. I had the luxury of interviewing Michael Tucker, who is also a donor at, he's the former CEO of Motorola, and he took Motorola to what it was. I mean, in the 90s, Motorola was the first Western company to go into China. That was actually 89, I believe. But by 1992, 93, 1 out of every 2 cell phones, 50% of the world's market was a Motorola phone. And I got to interview him several years ago while I was doing my master's. And I asked him, what's the first thing you did when you became CEO of Motorola? I thought I was going to hear some, very eloquent discussion about leadership and whatnot. He said, the first thing I did was I fired 2 people. They were too interested in the price of the stock, he told me. They weren't customer-oriented enough. And that built trust and these were executives. These were senior executives. And that built the trust that they were going to take care of their customers. And that everyone knew that. And the stock, of course, went through the roof. Number 2, gaps. Not to pursue what everyone else is. Not to pursue what everyone else has been pursuing. And to see things sooner than everyone else. And I know that you do this. I know that you're in the market and you're saying, wow, there should be this in the marketplace. Somebody should come up with that. Somebody should make sure that this is going to be available for sale. So who is they? They is you. See things sooner. Start mapping it out on a napkin. You've gone through this strategic chaos course, and you understand the distinction between strategy and tactics. And now we're looking at gaps, culture, accountability, trust. And part of that trust is to make sure that you reward effort, not talent. Effort, not talent. Another example. I had to let somebody go. This was about a year ago. This individual was a high performer. But the problem was he wasn't predictable. Meaning that we were waiting on him. He was a bottleneck. We couldn't get work done. But when he did get his work done, it was done at such a beautifully high level. I had to let him go. And he kept saying to me, well, what's my performance? And I said, your performance when you do the work, and you do the work, it's phenomenal. The problem is we have customers and we have lost customers because we've had to wait for you. We've had to wait for you. And I had mistakenly been rewarding him based on his performance. But the reality of it is, I need predictability. I need predictability. Reward effort, not talent. I'm Senor Chavez, and now we're cooking with gas.